Good day to all. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers of the online international workshop on food safety and food biotechnology, jointly organized by the Crescent University and High-Rise Food Tech Lab, Chennai. With this note of thanks, I would like to start on my topic, food safety, your road map to health. When you sit down to a meal, how often do you wonder about the food that we are eating? Is the food safe? Whether the food that we are eating has reached our plates without any contamination? Do we ever ask these questions to ourselves? Now, coming to the point, what is safe food? How do we ensure that food is safe? All these questions will now be answered. A food that reaches your plate without any kind of chemical, microbial, physical and allergenic contamination is termed as safe food. Food safety refers to the practices and processes which are adopted in order to keep the food safe in every process along the food chain. That is, right from production to the food that you have on your table. When I say production, it could involve the agricultural practices, it could involve the processing in industries, it could involve the cooking at home or restaurants or whatever the case may be. Now, one thing that we have to understand is that all food is at risk of contamination. That is why a person who handles food, also known as a food handler, has a legal responsibility to ensure that the food that they prepare is free from these contaminants and safe for the consumer or the inmates of the family. So a food handler is any person who handles food. It could be a farmer, it could be a processor in an industry, it could be your mother at home or anybody else who cooks in a restaurant or at home. A food handler thus is anyone who handles packaged or unpackaged food directly, as well as the equipment, utensils used to prepare food or serve food, and also the surfaces that come in contact with food. Contaminated food is quite dangerous and can cause foodborne illness that can be fatal at times. What you can see from this slide is the statistics given by the World Health Organization. It has estimated that out of 600 million people worldwide, almost 1 in 10 people fall ill after eating contaminated food each year, thus resulting in about 420,000 deaths and loss of about 33 million healthy lives. So hence, foodborne illnesses are quite rampant and food safety is very, very important at this juncture. Now let us take a detailed look at the contaminants and how it happens. The chemical contamination of food happens when a food becomes contaminated by some kind of chemical substance. Chemicals are frequently used in the kitchen for cleaning and disinfection, so it is not surprising that they contaminate food. Contamination may occur from the preparing surfaces of food that still have chemical residue, utensils with cleaning residues, or if someone purposefully sprays cleaning chemicals close to uncovered food. Additionally, food can also become contaminated from chemicals even before it reaches the kitchen, that is, in the field and during storage. So fertilizers and pesticides may have been sprayed near the food when it was growing. I think this is one of the utmost reasons for organic food being high, and so is its cost. The biological or microbial contamination of food happens when a food has been contaminated by microorganisms including bacteria, viruses, molds, fungi and toxins. This is one of the most common types of contamination, resulting in foodborne illness. A microbial contamination can happen through various means. For example, undercooking of chicken can give rise to Campylobacter, a type of bacteria. During rearing and slaughtering of animals, the Salmonella that lives in the animal intestines can transfer on to food products. Storing and preparing high-risk raw foods close to ready-to-eat food can lead to cross-contamination. Fish and shellfish may eat toxic producing organisms that are dangerous to humans even if they eat them. Unsafe water and raw milk can result in microbial contamination. Another very important point that we have to note over here, which often goes unnoticed, are the cafeteria germs. What are these cafeteria germs? Cafeteria environments that have no oxygen are great breeding grounds for Clostridium perfringens. This category of germs is known as the cafeteria germs because in this dark, poor ventilated, moist environments, these germs are found to survive. They survive not only in the air but also in the food which has been left at room temperature for a long time. So we have to be really wary of cafeterias with muted lighting and poor ventilation. Though the ambience may sound very cozy, they are a high breeding ground for these cafeteria germs which could ultimately lead to a microbial contamination of food. Several reports have also said that microbial contamination is the most common reason behind outbreaks of food poisoning. Physical contamination of food can happen when food has been contaminated by a foreign object. It can occur at any stage of food preparation, delivery or service. The physical contamination can cause serious harm to the consumer, including physical injury such as broken teeth, choking and so on. Typical of physical contaminants that can be found in food could include jewelry, hair, plastics, bones, stones, bodies of pests, cloth and so on. Additionally, if there are problems with the food premises or equipment such as a flaking paint, loose screws, broken counters, broken cutting boards, these may also enter into the food. Thus, physical contaminants may even carry harmful bacteria, posing a greater risk. Unclean hands, unclean surfaces, broken cutting boards and horrible habits inside the kitchen can result in physical contamination of food. The human cost of unsafe food is very high and alarming. It definitely cannot be understated. Let us take a look at the WHO statistics again. Food safety problems are a leading cause of more than 200 preventable diseases worldwide. Every year, 1 in 10 people suffer from foodborne illness or injury. An estimated 420,000 people die every year as a result of eating contaminated food, and more than a quarter of these victims are small children. In addition to the immediate human cost, inadequate food safety comes with a greater ripple effect that impedes socio-economic progress, especially in the developing world. As you can see in this slide, the WHO states that food safety, nutrition and food security are absolutely linked. A lack of safe food creates a vicious cycle of disease and malnutrition which overburdens public health services, disrupts social and economic progress and detracts from the quality of life. Food security and food safety are interlinked with a healthy life. So when we talk of food safety, or the entire process, right from production, the various processes, distribution, retail, food service and household, all this is interlinked with food availability, food access and food stability, resulting in poverty and lack of healthy life. An example of food insecurity and food safety and healthy eating is what you see now on the slide. Several reports since 2001 read that the tribes of interior Orissa have lost their lives after consumption of mango kernel in different forms. Initially, the deaths were attributed to toxins in the mango kernel, but later it was discovered that the real cause of death was food poisoning resulting from consumption of toxic mango kernels with fungal growth. The mango kernel as such does not contain toxins and can be used as food, but on improper storage, the fungal growth produced toxins which as a result was fatal on consumption. Food insecurity. Being large in these remote areas, the tribal community were habituated to storing mango kernels and eating them as food. Improper storage had resulted in fungal infestation, which further resulted in death. Thus, healthy eating means more than managing calories or choosing a balanced diet of nutrient-rich foods. The best healthy eating plans also involve safe food, safe handling, cooking and storage practices that help prevent food poisoning and foodborne illness and aids in food security and stability. The 4 food safety principles that help to keep us and our foods safe are clean, separate, cook and chill. Let us go through these in detail. When we say clean, it not only means cleanliness of the food, it also implies the cleanliness of the kitchen, personal hygiene, the cleanliness of equipments, cleanliness of washcloth, anything and everything that happens to be a part of the cooking process. So when we talk of personal hygiene, you probably don't think about preventing foodborne illness when you shower, bathe or wash your hair, until you think that for bacteria, it's a short trip from your body to the work surface, utensils and food. So by practicing personal hygiene, you keep yourselves clean to avoid transferring harmful bacteria when handling food. Before your hands come in close contact with food, keep them clean, this is the single most effective way to prevent bacterial transfer. A proven technique is the 20-second scrub, where you use soap and warm water and scrub your hands for 20 seconds. You can also use a soft brush to clean your fingernails, trim your nails and keep them clean. Do a 20-second scrub before working in the kitchen. Scrub your hands after handling raw meat or any kind of meat products. Scrub your hands immediately after you use the washroom, blow your nose, handle pets or touch your face, hair or any part of your body while working with food. This holds good both for working in the home kitchen and as well as in the commercial kitchens, because bacteria travels from the food handlers to the food as well as through other routes. A clean cook is backed by a clean kitchen. So hence we have to keep our kitchens clean by keeping the pets out of the kitchen, because pet hairs can float into your food. Wash and keep your work surfaces clean. Wash the tops of canned foods before opening them. Wash your milk packets before cutting them open. Change dish towels as often as possible and wash them thoroughly with a good detergent and disinfectant before it enters back into your kitchen. At the end of the day, a clean kitchen helps in providing you with safe food. Periodic pest control and cleanup time, following a regular cleanup time. Piling of dishes in the kitchen is not a very nice sight and is not good for safe food too. Now going on to the next point, separate. Separating foods helps in preventing cross-contamination. Cross-contamination occurs when harmful bacteria spread from one food to another. It can occur with any food, food which are cooked, uncooked, vegetarian, non-vegetarian, and all the more when you keep your non-vegetarian food, there is a possibility of drips from the food. So you have to be careful to see that you place them in different shelves, and the non-vegetarian food is kept in the lower shelf, so that, and also you can also see to it that you devise a method to hold on to the drips from these kinds of foods. Cutting boards are another common source of cross-contamination. If possible, you can have 2 cutting boards, one for vegetables and fruits, another for your meat and meat products. Rinse and air dry or dry your cutting boards with a washcloth as often as possible, or in fact after every use. All cutting boards eventually wear out, and you will see deep slashes on your cutting boards that has occurred because of constant use. In such cases, it is best to discard your cutting boards and go in for a new one. Next is cook. So foods that are cooked thoroughly are definitely safe. When you look at the bacterial activity is prolific between the temperatures above 4 degrees Celsius to about 60 degrees Celsius. So cooking of food to nearly the boiling point or even higher, like in case of frying, deep fat frying, can help in safe food. So when you store food, the food has to be stored below 4 degrees. Freezing as a part of food processing has to be done even below 4 degrees, and between 4 and 60 if you are going to hold the food has to be consumed at the earliest. In fact, our ancient scriptures, they prescribe that no food should be consumed after it has been cooked and held at room temperature beyond 2 hours. So the wisdom of the ancient combined with the scientific principles is what goes into a safe food. So as I have said, the greater the cooking temperature, safer is the food. Storing of food is also very important, and when we say storing, the chilling, and as I have told you earlier, chilling of food has to be done below 4 degrees centigrade. So check your refrigerator for the right chilling temperature and freezing temperature that is available. India is a land of a lot of power disruptions and power outages. So in this case, food safety definitely has to be spoken about during a power disruption. So now let us see what are the different foods that we would generally store in a refrigerator, and what do we do in case of a power disruption. So here on the slide you can see that the type of food that we are going to first discuss are the meat and meat products. So any food that has been held, this category of food that has been held above 5 degrees Celsius for more than 2 hours, then we will have to discard the food. It could be in form of a salad, it could be in form of a raw meat, or it could be a cooked meat. It can also be the soy meat substitutes, or it can be unopened can of meat or meat products, soups, stews. So anything that has been held above 5 degrees Celsius for more than 2 hours has to be discarded in case of a power outage. The same more or less holds good for dairy and eggs. So milk, cream, sour cream, buttermilk, yogurt, soy milk have to be discarded. Butter and margarine can be kept back into the refrigerator after the power resumes. And if you have baby formulas which have been reconstituted, or if you have the wet baby formulas in an open condition, the same have to be discarded. And if you have fresh shell eggs, eggs hard cooked in shell, egg dishes, egg products have to be discarded if there is a power outage of more than 8 hours. So keeping it in the refrigerator and consuming it after the power resumes is not a safe option, and neither are they safe foods. When it comes to cheeses, processed cheeses can be kept in the refrigerator and used even after the power resumes, because during the process of intense processing of these cheeses, the bacterial load is definitely low. In case of fruits, the fruits can be kept except for fresh fruits which have been cut and stored in the refrigerator. They have to be discarded. And in several Indian homes, especially the South Indian homes, we have a habit of slicing or storing shredded coconut, and this has to be discarded. You will always see that after a power disruption for about 8 hours, you will see that the coconut the next day develops a kind of a rancid smell and also a pink color, which shows that there is a bacterial infestation. So best is to discard sliced or shredded coconut in case of power outages in your area. Sauces, spreads like mayonnaise, cheese spreads and jams are another popular category that we generally store in a chilled atmosphere. So peanut butter can be kept along with jelly, different kinds of pickles and relishes, and vinegar based dressings can be reused even after a power outage. But the other kinds of sauces and spreads have to be discarded, especially the cream based ones, and sauce which include the meat sauce, the fish sauce or the oyster sauce, and spaghetti sauces which have been opened, or the mayonnaise which again is made of a curd dressing and eggs, have to be discarded, because the power outage of more than 8 hours is not conducive for consumption. So when you require safe food, these foods will have to be thrown away irrespective of the food wastage that is going to occur. So next time we pop anything into the refrigerator, we will definitely have to think twice about the power and the electric conditions in our area that is prevailing, and also whether we need to freeze these items. So it is always best in Indian conditions to buy just the required quantity of food, cook just the required quantity of food, and a very minimal gets into the refrigerator for chilling and future use. Breads, cakes, cookies, cooked and uncooked pasta, cooked grains also creep their way into the refrigerator. So here biscuits, rolls, cookie dough have to be discarded, along with cooked pasta, cooked rice, cooked potatoes if stored in the refrigerator. Salads with mayonnaise or vinegar made out of pasta, vegetables or any other grains have to be discarded. Fresh pasta, uncooked pasta in the refrigerator again has to be discarded. Cheesecakes which are absolutely moist and which can be a breeding ground for bacteria and other microorganisms also have to be discarded. So any food which has got a higher moisture percentage will have to be discarded when you have a power outage of more than 8 hours. Now when it comes to vegetables, which are a common sight in our refrigerators, so apart from the cut or the cooked vegetables, the whole vegetables can definitely be stored and need not be thrown away. So vegetables in the form of curries, in the form of salads, in the form of soups, stews or baked casseroles, juices have to be discarded if there is a power outage. So thus, let us now end this session, a brief informative session on this World Food Safety Day, with a pledge: save food now for a healthy tomorrow. Because now we have understood how food has to be kept safe and how food safety has an impact on the health and nutrition of an individual, and a healthy individual is very essential for the socio-economic growth of a nation. So for our nation to progress socio-economically, we require to be healthy so that we can be productive. And this is a vicious cycle which starts with food safety. So food safety is definitely a matter of concern. I once again wish to record my earnest thanks to the School of Life Sciences, the Crescent University and the High Rise Labs for having given me this opportunity to share my little knowledge about food safety with all of you. Thank you.